hypnotized by your body. Oh, you're paradise. I'm hypnotized by your body. Oh, tonight I'm waiting tonight. I'm waiting 'cause I miss you. 'Cause
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is time for round number 2 of the Positive Perception GT Championship season number 6. In case you hadn't already realised by the track pan in the background, we are at the home of British Motorsport. We're at the Silverstone circuit for round number 2 this evening. A 60-minute race. Tyres are mandatory, fuel is not. So there will be some strategy to play for, and I have it on very good authority that it is planning to be a rather damp affair for those who are racing tonight. Big grid again this evening, really looking forward to this one. Hoping to be joined in the commentary box later on, but in the meantime, my name is David Wrestle. I'll be looking after things for this evening, giving you the commentary, the insights, the camera action, all that good stuff. If data is your thing, then you'll be pleased to know, and you might have already seen this pinned in the chat, that we are linked up officially now with pitwall.live as well. So if you want to see a little bit of extra data on things, then hop to that link pinned in the chat. You'll see the POSPER live timing screens on there. Feel free to just jump in and have a look and see what you think. But thank you to those of you joining in. Big evening. Get your words out, David. Come on. Good evening to Steve Aldridge in the chat. Big support coming from the SAR boys, including Beef. I'm sure the Beef Brigade will be out in full force again this evening. Really looking forward to that one. But yeah, we're just waiting at the moment for everything to get underway. Got a couple of bits just to square away. First and foremost, I think we are going to have to do a server restart, unfortunately, which might just delay things ever so slightly, but we'll get that sorted and we'll do what we need to in the meantime. First things first, let's have a look at the standings from the last round. Of course, it was Imola a couple of weeks ago. It'll be Brands Hatch after the new year. And then we've got, in any particular order, Bathurst, Bathurst, something else. Well, I can't remember what the other one is. Bathurst, Kyle Army is the last one. And another one, I can't remember what it is. Good evening, Tubes. Matt Damon in the chat as well. Good to see him kicking around as well. Can't race this evening. Got to get the popcorn out there. That is exactly what we like to see. But yeah, let's go back to the standings, shall we? So we had 2 races at Imola a couple of weeks ago. We'll start off with the pro standings. It was Marcus Hagel who led the way. Well, actually, I say led the way. He's joint top of the standings of Marcel Stanage. They both got first and second, respectively, in the last round. Marcel, unfortunately, unable to race this evening. But with drop rounds in place, hopefully it doesn't mean too much in terms of his title aspirations. Dal Young, again, unfortunately, isn't able to attend this evening. In fact, I believe he has actually dropped out, fortunately, because he's got other stuff going on. So hopefully we'll get someone else who can draft in and place him on there. Carl Wright coming through in what is effectively now 3rd place. Sam Waldridge in 5th. Ben Brown in 6th. Josh Copeland, At Brown, Niels Brewer and Ash Copeland, who had a relatively eventful first round, rounds out the top 10 on the pro side. In terms of your silver standings, Matt Damon, the aforementioned Tubes in the chat, leads the way. 2 wins from 2 in the last round. Puts him very much clear at the top of the standings this evening. But Carlo Durazzi, I'm sure, will have some plans to get himself up there as well. Tim Costa and Dino Hukanovic round out your top 4, with Steve Derrick and Matt Redfern in 5th and 6th on identical points. You see it's nice and close, albeit after just the one round. Chris Rock, Mark Cooper, Ollie Giel and Thomas Schrank are rounding out your top 10 on the silver side. And then finally, we bring ourselves to the AM category. It's Mike Richards leading the way there. He's got a fairly hefty lead at the moment, over back to Jake Jenkins of 9 points, which after the first round is always a good thing for the leader to have. Andrew Withers in at Sir Jin and Poe, whatever you call him, he on 44, so very close in sort of between second down to 8th really. Jamie Buchanan coming through in 6th, Mattia Breitrick coming through in 7th, Kai Halitsky in 8th, Soren Michaelis, and then Nick Karagiannis rounds out your top 10 on that side as well. Like I say, looking forward to it this one tonight, as always. Just waiting, like I say, for things to get squared away. So hopefully we should be a case of restarting the server, and qualifying will get underway relatively shortly. Good evening, James Ferguson in the chat. Let's race. Looking forward to it, James. Thank you for stopping by, my buddy. Just so that you guys know, if you haven't already, please make sure you like the chat, like the stream, and if you haven't done already, the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds to do it. It's very much appreciated from our end, and it gives us a nice warm fuzzy feeling. I think safe to say the reception on the stream from last time out has been massive. So massive appreciation for everyone of you who has come out and put the attention towards it and given us that great reception, like I say. We just really appreciate it. So thank you very much for that. What we'll do, we're just waiting for the stream, for everything to kind of kick into gear. Why don't we jump in and see what our reigning champion did in terms of a hot lap around the Silverstone circuit, and take you on a tour of the iconic Northamptonshire race circuit, of course, based around that airfield. We all know the background about Silverstone. I'm not going to bore you to death with that. So what we'll do is we'll jump into the cockpit of the number 1 Honda on NSX, and we'll take you around to that of the Silverstone circuit. So here we go then, dry on this occasion, so it'll be a little bit quicker for you to watch rather than the normal one you have to do. First corner, of course, on the old style layout, starts up at Cops. Very easy to go a little bit too wide and invalidate your lap in qualifying, or get a track cut warning in the race. Is something they're going to need to be careful for. And then, of course, you've got that iconic Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel section just slowing the car down. You'll see that Matty is really kind of seesawing at the wheel at times on some of these corners. It's really great to see. On to the hangar straight, definite overtaking opportunity if you've got a good run out of the previous corner. So going into slow that the corner where, of course, had the fabled Michael Schumacher accident back in, was it 1999? I think it was. Fortunately, Matty gets through there unscathed, and then as they come down towards Vale, obviously coming into the newer part of the complex now, so coming into Vale and Club and onto the Hamilton Straight. Really difficult part of the track, this one. For those of you who've driven, I'm sure you know, really difficult. You want to get your foot down, you want to get going as fast as possible, but can be quite difficult to do sometimes on occasion. Coming up into Abbey and Farm now, again, just drops through the gears. You see you have to put a lot of steering angle in to get through there, and then another heavy braking zone into Village. Again, perfect overtaking opportunity if you can get the run into there. You're then going into the loop. Again, loads of different ways you can take some of these corners. So it's really interesting to see kind of what people do, especially if we do get some rain like we're expecting. On then to the Wellington Straight, as we kind of then start to join our way up with the old part of the track again, coming down into Brooklands, that trail braking corner, really difficult to get right and very difficult to get through there as quickly as you can. Into Luffield, doesn't look like that anymore. Bit of opposite lock there from Matty. I think this is the fastest lap I got from him, to be fair, so still rather impressive to say the least. Through Woodcut and over the line. I think it was a 1:57.9 in the end. So yeah, very good lap from him indeed. So let's just jump back in. Let's get. I've got it under good authority that the server is back up, which means that we'll be getting ready to go in but a few minutes' time to get things kicking off with qualifying and get cracking. So we've just got a couple of minutes left on the free practice side of things as well. So it just gives us a chance to get everything ready. We'll take a quick short break rather than you just having to listen to me try and fill for the next few minutes. So we'll take a couple of minutes, and as soon as we're ready to go, in fact, I tell an absolute lie, they're rolling the server over. So what we'll do is wait until that has officially gone in, and we'll get things straight underway. And I can tell you, I can 100% tell you, if you look at this now, it's going to be very wet. There you go. So let's see. Everyone getting out on track. Optimal drift line. It really was, wasn't it, James? It was an interesting line. That much is for sure. It was. Do you know what the crazy thing is? Like I say, it was the fastest lap he'd done. So I don't know how much time he'd gained before he did that. But either that or that is clearly the optimal line through the corner. Look at all of this. Look at the cars slipping and sliding through here. It's absolutely mad what we're seeing at the moment. This is proper wet weather. You can see in the top right corner of your screen we've got a bit of a weather forecast, so you'll be able to see that might actually get a little bit drier as we go through. We'll have to see whether that will definitely be the case or not. So it might be a case of, as we know in these sorts of sessions, we've seen it in all sorts of different areas before, it might be one of those where the latest driver to go out and set their final lap time could potentially go and stick it on pole. We'll have to wait and see. Certainly got an intriguing 20 minutes ahead of us in this qualifying session. we'll just stay on board with Marcus Hagel for the time being, just while we get these guys out and on their way. So we've got 25 in the server this evening. A couple have dropped out for multiple different reasons, which is a bit of a shame, but should see some brilliant racing either way. I mean, I was watching the practice session before this, and it was pretty spicy to be fair. Lots of very comparable lap times, which is what you want at the end of the day, I would say. So yeah, we'll see how these laps come out. Oh, evening from Eric Dunn, father of Colin. Team mechanic, I think we'll call him, from Dunn Motorsport. Lovely chap is Eric. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you've told Colin to stop in as well, because I appreciate he's not racing tonight. So either he's got a very good excuse, or he needs a bit of a slap on the wrist, I would say. Now what we'll do is let's go to the interior here of the NSX. In fact, we can get a better screenshot of that, surely. There we go. Let's do something like that, so that we can see exactly what's going on with Marcus Hagel as he goes. He's the first one. He's not the first one. He's the first one still on a valid lap. You can see Ash Coupland in number 5 machine on that track map. He's a little bit ahead on track, but not going to be putting a lap time in. You can always tell, because those of you who aren't familiar with the way that ACC sets things up, if you look at the track map and you see a nice light blue on there, effectively means they're not on a valid lap. So at the moment, the only person we're seeing, well, the first person we should see put a lap time in is that of Marcus Hagel, and he looks like he is struggling big time. Look at that massive bit of overcorrection coming out of Stowe. I'm really intrigued to see what the differences are going to be. It's really going to be a case of who can hook this up. I think, as it always is in the wet, you know what it's like if you've driven in the wet before, it's just a case of, oh, there you go, off he goes. We'll nip over and see some other people as well. But yeah, you just see there dropping a wheel, a little bit too eager on the loud pedal, and yeah, I was gonna say, it's just a case of just trying to really get the best use of the conditions. I think we'll probably see a lot of different lines, we'll probably see a lot of different times, and I'm sure as time goes on, things will start to level out, and we'll kind of get a better idea towards the back end of the session as to what the grid's going to be. Mark Ranenbury, boss man of Positive Perception Racing, in the number 750 machine. That is an RC style livery that he's running of Bitty Designs. He was very, very keen to get that one done as soon as they released it a couple of weeks ago. But of course, in the POSPER colours, the orange, blue and grey, that is affectionately related to us, I should say. But yeah, Mark is one of those. He's been practicing a lot in the rain, so we might see some good lap times coming from him. What we'll do is we'll go over to Ollie G and we'll see what the yardstick's going to be. I think he's going to be the first one to cross the line. It looks like Ant Brown behind him, who looks like he might be going a little bit quicker. So 2:16, and then there you go. Ant Brown comes in with a 2:13.4, so 2 seconds quicker than him. Steve Derrick comes in 4th. Mark Neutlings goes in between them as well. And I think what we're going to see, and you might not be able to see this on your end, and I'll try to do my best to keep you guys abreast of it. I think what we're going to see is, as soon as these guys get a banker lap in, they are going to be going quicker pretty much every single lap. I think it's fair to say. Ollie Gill, for example, already a couple of attempts up, as is Steve Derrick. Jamie Buchanan already nearly a second up on his lap. He's in that Pertec BTCC livery, which is just beautiful. I think that's arguably the best way to do it. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to try and tell you every single person who puts a lap time in, because I think if we did that, I'd be here for a while and I'd probably lose track of what's going on. So what we'll do is we'll try and catch some of the guys who are putting lap times in but are a little bit further around. Mark Ranenbury's coming around at the moment. He's coming through Loughfield and into Woodcut as we speak. Don't want to go too far out there, Marky boy. That's going to be a little bit slippery. So we'll see what his time's going to be over the line. Puts a time in. That's not bad at all. That puts him 3rd on the grid. Best of the rest, you would say at the moment. Andrew Wellborn usurping and taking Ant Brown's position at the top of the timing charts at the moment. These two, so Wellborn and Brown, were top of the practice times as well, and it was a similar set of conditions. So we'll see whether that stays the same going into the end of this qualifying session. Ben Brown puts a lap time in. He's a little bit off the pace as well, but again, I think this is really just a case of people just starting to really kind of get their eye in and find a bit of speed. Jamie Buchanan, for example, come back to him. He's 1.6 seconds up. So that's going to put him P3, P2 or P4 at the moment. As if he can get some more time out, which he's just losing a little bit at the moment, he can probably go. He probably go even further up. Sam Wooldridge as well. We'll take a little moment to go and pick up on one of the SAR boys. He is 8th at the moment, but he's running nearly 2 seconds quicker as he goes on to the Wellington Straight and looks to put another lap time in. Ash Coupland puts himself up into P2 with that 2:13.1. So another good lap from him. Like I said before, had a fairly eventful race last time out at Imola. He'll be hoping for less of the same. I did actually have a chat with him after the race, and he did say he made the fatal error of running the safety car map for too long and started possibly both races with the safety car map still enabled, which is why he dropped so far down at the start and obviously got caught up in a lot of the melee as well, which is a big shame. But I've told him, don't do that again, don't be silly. So hopefully he might listen, he won't do it again. That remains to be seen though. I've known Ash a while, I know what he's like. Sam Wooldridge though puts in a 2:14.3 and goes 1.6 seconds off. Rob Jackson now coming in. He's in the King's Meat Snacks Aston Martin. I do like this livery. It just makes me chuckle. It sounds like a Fridge Raiders style thing. Personally, he puts himself up into P4, which is looking good. I think this might be the first race we've had Rob in up until this point. I don't think we saw him at Imola a couple of weeks ago. But throwing his stall out early doors and getting a good lap time into boot, looking very, very tight at the top as well. You can see there Kyle Wright 2/200ths of a second off, but in the Radiocraft Brewery car, annoyingly doesn't have a livery on there for whatever reasons. We've got to deal with the carbon Andrew Wellborn for this evening, who is our pole sitter as it stands with 11.5 minutes left in the session. He is currently 7.5 tenths up on his personal best. Make that 9 tenths. He's just absolutely nailed the entry to Stowe by the looks of it. So this is going to be an interesting. We'll see where his time shakes out. Presumably it's going to get him even further up the time. I mean, I'm looking at the deltas on everyone who's put a lap time in. 3 people who are currently on flying laps are not beating their best. Everyone else is at least a tenth or so quicker at this moment in time. In fact, Sam Wooldridge is a second up on his current delta, so he is going to be putting himself right up into the mix of things. That'll put him about half a second, you would think, off things. Mark Cooper, of course, sitting quite comfortably in the silver category in the JPS Honda NSX, putting in a good lap time at the moment, put himself up into 4th place, at the moment, with a 2:13.4. And I think, you can see the rain's starting to disappear a little bit. It's by no means going to be any form of dry line when we get towards the end of the session. But I think this is proving what I said earlier in the fact that the more lap times the more laps these guys put in, of course we've got 25 cars out on track, it is going to start to make conditions a little bit better for them as time goes on. There you go, Sam Wooldridge. So puts himself up into P5 in the end, so just over half a second off. So good lap time from the number 10 SAR car. I've got to make sure I don't call it SARS because I don't think that would be very appropriate. Marcus Hagel, he's just about off pole position pace at the moment. So he's coming down the Wellington Straight. If he can hook up these last couple of corners, is putting himself in prime position to put himself on provisional pole. He is currently on course for it. In fact, no, he isn't, because he's just slid through Brooklands there and into Luffield. We'll see if he can gain any of the time back. The Pole Simsport, Audi, Evo, blah, 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 all those many different names that you give to these GT3 cars nowadays. He's going to improve. Is he going to improve enough? He's not just under 2 tenths off. I think based on what he did there, if he can keep that a little bit cleaner and tidier, I think there's every likelihood that we might see Mr. Hagel putting himself up and into the top of the spots in terms of the grid order ahead of the race this evening. But still, 8.5 minutes left. But as it stands, Andrew Wellborn still sitting pretty on pole position at this moment in time. Marcus Hagel, the man on your screen, he sits in second. Carl Wright in third, of Ash Coupland and Rob Jackson, your fourth and fifth men. They're both in the pits at the moment, so they won't be improving at this moment in time. And as I say that, Ant Brown has just gone and absolutely done a number on these guys. Look at that, a 2:11.7. It doesn't sound like a very quick lap in the grand scheme of things, but in these conditions, that is ridiculously quick. It puts it. He actually went 7 tenths quicker than anyone else in the second sector, which is absolutely nuts. So yeah, fantastic lap from the number 45 car. Of course, subsequently just drops back into the pits, which is smart. But going back over to another car who's also improving, it's your second place man. I don't think Ant's going to have pole position for a long time. If it keeps up the pace he's doing, I think Andrew Wellborn's going to be on for a pole position, provisionally speaking. Comes out of Luffield in towards Woodcote. Looks like he gets a decent enough drive. What's it going to be over the line? I think it might even be into the 2:11s as well. It is a 2:11.5 from them. Yeah, Tube saying the Aston looking quick in the way. It is. Aston's quick around Silverstone anyway, to be fair. But yeah, it looks like it's really, really well set up for these conditions. You're absolutely right there, my guy. So yeah, looking pretty. The two Aston Martins at the top of the charts. You've got two Audis, you've got two more Aston Martins. So it's a bit of a Noah's Ark kind of situation. In fact, it carries on because there's two Mercedes in 7th and 8th as well of Waldridge and Jackson. Yeah. A fairly decent spread, I think it's fair to say, of people across here. One person who's making a massive improvement at the moment, so he comes across the line, is Ben Brown. What's his time? He's going to shift himself right up P5 for the Onid Racing at number 22 car. I think he's the sole Lexus, at least tonight, if not in the series. In fact, no, he's not. He's got one other one. He's got Chris Rock in the Lexus as well. I apologise to Chris for forgetting that rather important piece of information. Another man improving at the moment is Peter Phillips. He's just coming through. Where is he on the track at the moment? I can't quite tell. He's coming through Maggots and Beckett's at the sort of the starting part of the lap, to be fair to him. But already 1.1 seconds to the good on his time that he's put in. I think that was probably a banker lap from him. In fact, that's Ben Brown directly behind him on the circuit. So coming into Stowe again, just gains a tiny bit of time. Not really enough to make any major gains. In fact, the exit was probably better than the entry was. So looking good from that perspective. Got Jamie Buchanan just ahead of him in that Pertec car. He is on a flying lap, so this might scupper Peter's chances of getting too much quicker. He's already 2 seconds to the good on this occasion. I'm just trying to see Jamie. He's improving as well, so there's no reason for Jamie to really kind of make any issues of getting out of the way. So it's just a case of, it might be a case, I should say, of Peter just kind of consolidating. In fact, Jamie's just gone off going through Farm Curve, so that gives Peter the chance to have a nice clear bit of track. He's got a nice little gap up to, I think that's Jean, apologies if you watch this back and I've pronounced that wrong, in the 169 Lamborghini a little bit further ahead. I will have to draw your attention to the livery on that Lamborghini before the end of the evening, because it is a beautifully designed car. So we'll come back to that a little bit later. But Peter Phillips still making some serious gains at the moment. This is going to shoot him right the way up the grid by the looks of it, assuming he can keep it clean. Looks like he does. Coming into Luffield. Again, looks nice and clean. Looks to just double apex that. In fact, well, we'll kind of get the apex on the entry, miss it on the exit. That's fine. That'll do. Decent enough exit. Looks nice and clean. What's time going to be as he comes round through Woodcote and over the line? Puts him up to P16. It's a 2:14.5. So, again, I'm sure he'll be wanting more. But still 4.5 minutes left. So still time for, if he's got enough fuel, time for 3 more laps, you would think, for him to get some more time on the table. Back over to your man currently sitting in P2, Ant Brown. Him and Andrew Wellborn are both improving as it stands. Just trying to see where Wellborn is on the track. In fact, they're right behind each other, or line astern. So you've got Brown just coming through Farm Curve. You see the 23 car on your track map just behind him going through Farm Curve now. That is Andrew Wellborn. They're actually matching in terms of their improvements. So it'd be interesting to see if that changes throughout the course of the final couple of corners. In fact, it already has. Maybe it looks like Wellborn's might have made a mistake because he's got a poor exit. He's not necessarily going to improve whereas Ant Brown is on for an absolute stormer of a lap. I think it really is a case of the last one out is going to get some really good chances to improve, because he's currently over a second to the good in terms of his lap time. He has got a Honda in front of him. I can't quite see who that was. I think that's Andrew Withers in front of him. Yes, it is, because I recognise, again, another beautiful livery, the Spider-Man one. That's very, very crossed up, coming out of left field from Ant Brown. I don't think it's going to matter too much, though. It isn't. Look at that. We're into the 10s, everybody, boys and girls. This track is getting quicker by the lap. Of course, you've got 26 cars? 27 cars, my apologies, running around in anger at the Silverstone circuit. So it's understandable. It's going to dry up relatively quickly. Miles Dixon, a latecomer into the qualifying session, he's up into P3 now. He's actually done 3 laps as opposed to the 7 that the top 2 guys have done. So time for him to continue to improve as well. We know that Miles has obviously got form. We know he's quick. Unfortunately, did not finish the second race at Imola last week, and of course had that coming together with Marcel Stange going into the first corner at the start of the first round as well. So not what he would have wanted, but if anyone's got pace, it's going to be young Miles Dixon. So I think there's every chance that he will get himself a little bit close to those guys up at the top. As it stands, with just over 2 minutes left, you'd argue there's probably 1 or 2 laps left depending on where you are on the track. Ant Brown still looking pretty and sitting pretty at the top of the timing charts. Andrew Wellborn sitting in P2. He's just over, or just under, sorry, half a second off of the pole sitter's time at the moment. Miles Dixon, on your man on screen, is 7/10 off in the 94 Pole Sim Sport Honda, with Ash Coupland in P4 at the moment. Sam Wooldridge rounding a top 5 for the time being. Let's stick with Miles for the end of this lap, because he is improving. We'll see whether he can improve a huge amount more, because at the moment he's going to improve potentially to put himself P2 on the grid. We'll see whether he can get himself up into P1. Of course, one thing we do know is that Honda is going to be pretty rapid off the line in the race, whereas the Aston Martins are normally a little bit sluggish in those kind of low RPM ranges. So either way, you'd potentially put a little bit of a punt on Miles potentially getting one, if not both of them, if he starts from P3 on the grid. Just coming into Luffield now, he's going to get one more lap, assuming he's got the fuel capacity to do it. Ant Brown has gone quicker again. He's gained another 10th or 2 on his time, so it's a 2:10.8 now. Miles is improving. I don't think it's going to be enough to put him up into P2 though, but like I say, he might potentially have another lap to do. He won't, so it'll be P3 at best for the number 94 Pole Sim Sport driver. Ash Coupland looks like he's aborting that lap as well. Let's try and find someone who's actually on a lap. Marcus Hagel's not really improving enough. Let's have a look at the Porsche 911, the 26 car of Tim Costa. I think this is based on the World Endurance Championship Porsche, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, I can definitely tell you it is. It's that kind of goodbye, thanks for being a member of the WEC livery thing that Porsche have done for the 6 Hours of Bahrain or whatever it was. Looks a beauty, to be fair. Looking very, very nice indeed. And great to see that everyone's coming along with their custom liveries, of course. It's not something that we charge for. You can jump in and you can run whatever livery you want, with the disclaimer it's not a rude one. Just make that one particularly clear. Looks like Tim doesn't actually improve on that occasion. No, he didn't. He lost a bit of time coming out the final corner, so he's not improved. And there you go. That is the checkered flag up and over. He's actually still got enough time to do another lap. But isn't improving, importantly, at the moment. It looks like not a huge amount of people are improving at the moment. The only people who are, I mean, Marcus Hagel's just gone across the line. He's put himself up into P5. The only other man currently on a lap who may potentially do something is Kyle Wright. He's coming through Maggots and Beckett's at the moment, but he's not really enough up on his time to really kind of make any severe indents on the current standings. In fact, as it stands, he's not actually going to go any positions up the grid. Potential, of course, still got a long way on the lap to go. And Kyle, of course, for those of you who know Kyle, you know he's going to be a quick driver. He's always got pace no matter what car or combo he's in. You can actually see I was about to say you can see the rain looks like it's got a little bit better. It definitely hasn't. It was definitely just the angle that I was looking at. But yeah, back after the track, so coming onto Hamilton Straight, he has still got a bit of time in hand. He's got a bit of space in front of him. He's got the 26 car ahead of him. That's Tim Costas, the guy we're looking at the moment. He might, I would have thought, potentially just drop out of the way if Kyle does catch him, because he's not going quicker. There we go. Saying that, it's the anti-curse of the commentator, because he did actually go quicker at that point on the lap. His delta went up a little bit. So we'll have to wait and see. But looks like Kyle might have enough of a gap ahead of him to not have to worry too much anyway. As it stands, Kyle will be going up a few positions on the grid. He's got a couple of tenths in hand. He's actually losing time down the Wellington Straight, which is not ideal for him. But if he keeps it clean and tidy, then he should potentially see himself jump up at least one position. This delta's moving around all over the place, and oh dearie me, I'm not sure what's happened there. What I will tell you though is that's not how you run that corner. So if anyone's watching, if you're watching this and you're thinking, how do you take Luffield on the Silverstone circuit? Not like that. Absolutely not like that. So just bear that one in mind. So yeah, there you go. So your grid. Well, I won't go through the whole grid because we'll do a grid walk in a few minutes time. But primarily speaking, let's have a quick look back over that. So Ant Brown will be your pole sitter for this one, Andrew Wellborn in P2, and then it's I was going to say it's an all Audi. It's not an all Audi for the second row at all. It's Ash Coupland and Miles Dixon in fourth and third, respectively, and then we work our way down there. So what we'll do is we'll be really clever, and what we're going to do, we're going to get onto the old positive perception broadcast segue, and let's run ourselves through the grid and see what's going on. So here we go then. Let's have a look around, see what's what. So as you said before, Ant Brown leads on the way. We've got a little bit of sort of a softer suspension on the Segway this evening, it seems. So yeah, Ant Brown is your man on pole. There we go. We'll get the Segway to move in a minute. We're having some engine difficulties on that side of things. So there you go. Ant Brown on pole. Andrew Wellborn in second. Miles Dixon and Ash Coupland in third and fourth with Marcus Hagel. So it's an all pole sim sport. Second, you know what I mean. Third and fifth. They're right behind each other. That's what I'm trying to say. Sam Aldridge in sixth place. Ben Brown and Kyle Wright in seventh and eighth respectively. And rounding out your top 10, it's the JPS Honda of Mark Cooper, and then Positive Perception boss man Mark Raddenbury in P10. Rob Jackson and Tim Costa are in P11 and 12, with then James Jackson, no relation, and Nadir Balozzo in leading out the AM class actually in Ps 13 and 14, which is a great result for the AM guys there. Carlo Delazio, of course, second in the silver class at the moment, but we'll be getting some points back off of our leader Matt Damon, of course, because Tube's in the chat this evening because he's a good man. Ollie Geel with the appropriate Mark Raddenbury face on his car. There we go. I know I did it last time, so let's do it again. So anyway, where were we? Alex McGee in P17, Steve Derrick alongside him. They got the big brain racing car of Matt Redfern in P19 with Andrew Withers. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man anyway, but that needs some appreciation in the chat, please. That Spider-Man livery is absolutely beautiful. So whoever is that, ICL Designs, give yourself a pat on the back. That is a beauty. It's a lovely, lovely looking car. Anyway, where were we? Peter Phillips, P21, Chris Rock, P22. That is Dino Hukanovic in P23. That's a lovely livery as well. And I say that because that was from yours truly. Martin Neuterlings in P24. Jamie Buchanan in the Pertec BMW in P25. We're on the suspension again. We've been booted up onto the higher level of the Segway for this one. This is the Lamborghini of Jean. You can see again, I mentioned how nice it was. It's even very nice. He's put a little Positive Perception logo on the front bumper as well, which is a nice little touch, but really, really good looking one there. He's P26, and then rounding out the grid, another Positive Perception livery special, not by myself this time, unfortunately, but the Cineo Sim racing car of Nick Karagiannis rounds out your grid for this evening. We'll get underway in just a few minutes' time. In the meantime, I'd love to get some thoughts in the chat from everyone who's watching, just to see who you think is going to take the win. What are we thinking? What's going to happen? Are we thinking it's going to be a Miles Dixon win? Are we thinking somebody else? throw your suggestions. I would love to know what you guys are thinking ahead of this one. I am super excited, as to be fair, I always am. I'm an easily excitable man when it comes to stuff like this. Come on, the Badger from Mate Sparky in the YouTube chat. That Badger, in case for those of you who aren't aware, is Ant Brown. He is, as mentioned before, he's your pole sitter. And probably one thing we should pay a little bit of attention to is the fact that, in case you were completely blind, it is wet still in the race server as well. So rain is looking like it's going to disappear a little bit. Whether it goes dry is a different question. Mentioned earlier, it's a mandatory tyre change in this one. No fuel stops allowed, so those guys will have to make sure they've got enough fuel to run themselves the 60-minute race this evening. And then, yeah, we've got a Christmas break. We've got a couple of Christmas socials. I suppose I can give you the announcement now. We're doing a KA race at Monte Carlo on Saturday the 17th, so make sure you're in the Discord server and you're up for that as well. And then on the 22nd, we're doing a very fun little Christmas ACC social where effectively you jump in, you've got absolutely no idea what the car and track combination is going to be until 10 minutes before, and you're in. That's it. Job done. Right. Shall we jump into the race again? So, formation lap underway. As said, Ant Brown leading us off. Martin Eutlings and Peter Phillips didn't make the start, which is a bit odd, I have to say, because that was not, well, it wouldn't have been planned. So, yeah, not really sure what's caused that one, but we all make mistakes. So anyway, let's get ready for this. So, 60-minute race, tyre change mandatory, fuel is not, so nothing we can do about the fuel side. If you've not put enough fuel in, it's not that. That's your fault, no one else's. But yeah, Ant Brown leading us around the Badger. If Mate Spark, if it's you or if someone else, someone wants to explain to me what the Badger thing's about, I am very much all ears. I would love to understand what that's all about, because I don't know, to be quite honest, what it means. Josh Copeland's asking me, I've got 27 in the server for this week, Josh, excluding your fine self. So I hope everything's well your end. Hopefully we'll see you before the end of the season. Did Homer forget to qualify? Is Homer Chris Rock? That's my guess. I don't know why he'd be called Homer, but if that is, then I don't think he did. No, he did put a qualifying lap time in, I think, because it's been wet and people maybe aren't too comfortable with the conditions. I think he's just struggled a bit, to be quite honest with you. So, but yeah, let me know. I think Mate Sparky's suggestion is clearly going to be that Ant Brown's going to win, and he's in the perfect position to do it. I would like to. I'm going to throw caution to the wind, and I'm going to say Marcus Hagel might get a good result in this one. Qualified P5, but we know he's quick. He's got some pace. Potentially got Ash Copeland in there as well, although he does have a liability of forgetting to put enough fuel in sometimes. So you never know what might happen there. Back to work. Oh, that's a shame, Josh. Would have been a shame. At least you'll be back before the last race of the season. That's the main thing. So it'd be nice to have you back on the grid, and back with us again. Because yeah, always good. Money's on Wellborn. Ooh, cat amongst the pigeons. To be fair, he qualified P2. He probably had a good chance at pole as well. So yeah, still plenty of chances for him. And that's the beauty of these. And the great thing about the series at Pospro is obviously it's not the same. It's not the same race format every week. So obviously last couple of weeks ago, last round at Imola, we had the 2 30-minute races. We've got obviously the 60 minutes with mandatory tyres for Silverstone. Brands Hatch, the next round is 3 races. It's got a triple header. I think it's 15, 20 and 25-minute races. Bathurst, we've got a double header there as well. Spa, I think, is the other race. I'm going to throw that out there. So, correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys know this off the top of your head. Which is a fuel stop but no tyres. And then the final race of the season is a 60-minute nighttime finale at Kyle Army. I picked Kyle Army for the finale because it looks so good at night time. Just a beautiful track. But anyway, let's turn our focus back to this one. Ant Brown leads us round through Luffield for the final or for the end of the formation lap, and is going to be, in fact, let's go back to the helicam so we can see exactly what happens from the start. And let's go over to Ash Cooper. Let's get a bit more of a spread across the field so we can see what's going on. So Matt Brown is going to lead us away any moment now as they come through Woodcote. You can just see them kind of just jostling for position, getting the right part of the track to be on, getting any possible advantage they can. Miles Dixon and Marcus Hale both very good at that. Ben Brown very close behind, but we're just waiting to go green any second now for round number 2 of the Positive Perception GT Championship season number 6 is... I'm not going to carry on doing this for too long. It's going to be Gwyn across the line, surely. It's underway, and Matt Brown gets a start. We've got Andy Wellborn right outside him, though. Is he going to get the move done through Cops? It's really soaking wet through this one. It looks like they've all made it through cleanly. Bit of sideways action from Miles Dixon. Big sideways action from Andrew Wellborn. That's not going to give him any sorts of favours going into the Margaret Beckett's Chapel complex. But it's Ant Brown who leads the way. Andrew Wellborn is now down into P3. Miles Dixon getting a chance to get up himself into P2. And Ash Coupland stays in P4 with Marcus Hagel P5, Sam Wooldridge P6. Kyle Wright makes it past Ben Brown and up into P7 and further down the grid. It looks like we've had a little bit of carnage a bit further back. Unfortunately, it looks like that's Balozzo and Durazio who are involved there. We'll try and get a replay in a few minutes' time. It's a drive-through for Peter Phillips, not what he would have wanted. He was talking in the chat on the Discord server over the last couple of weeks saying he wanted a better race, and that's not the way you start it on this occasion, unfortunately, for the Wild Things Racing driver. Hopefully still got some time to gain some positions over the course of the next 58 minutes that we've got ready to go now. Carl Wright on your screen at the moment. He's currently sitting in P7, right in between the only racing car of Ben Brown behind him, and the star teammate of his is Sam Wooldridge just ahead. I wonder if Sam might make this a little bit easier for him if Kyle's got the pace on him. Nice to see Ben Brown manage to hit his breaker point this week. It was a little bit messy at the round at Imola a couple of weeks ago. We have had some honest words, I think is the right way to do it, in terms of with the guys. Ben Brown look up the inside into the loop. There's what I was talking about earlier on. We're talking about the hot lap. So many different routes you can run through these corners. Carl Wright getting a little bit crossed up there, but he's going to get the run, is he? Past up on the inside, up past Sam Wooldridge. Can he get the move done into Brooklands? You can see the rain is teeming down at the moment, but it looks like he's just gone up the inside. Can we see when he's made the move? Oh, Wooldridge sticks it right from the outside. Ben Brown's going to follow him through. Has he got a chance? Oh no, Brown just goes a little bit squirrely going in towards Lovefield. Doesn't manage to get the move done, but Carl Wright does, and he's put himself up into 6th place. Can he hold that move away from Sam Wooldridge behind him? It looks like he will, and that is him up into P6. Fastest lap of the race on the first lap goes to Miles Dixon. Look how close these guys are. You can barely separate them with a matchstick between the top 3 at the moment. Ash Coupland sticking well and truly with them as well. The gap to Marcus Hale is to the tune of around about 1.2 seconds. So I wouldn't say they've dropped him, but they're certainly making some moves. And look at that from Andrew Wellborn, all over the sausage curb, going into Maggots and Beckett's there. Can Miles Dixon get the run he wants on to the back straight? He's on the hanger straight now. Is he going to have the chance to get a move done? It doesn't look like he's going to be quick enough to go into Stowe in the lead. As we say good evening to Lisa Louise Keane in the chat. She wishes she was with us. She's on the way to London town. Very fancy indeed. I hope you have a lovely rest of the evening, Lisa, and stay for as long as you like. You're always welcome here. You know you are. And like I said, hopefully we'll see you back on the grid at some point soon. Let's have a look a little bit further down the field. Nick Karagiannis, he's been one of the big winners off the start of this race. He's got himself up into P20 from the back of the grid. I would argue that's primarily just down to him being nice and clean and tidy, you would think. He's got the number 51 Honda of Andrew Withers behind him, and he's got a little bit of a gap forming up to Chris Rock ahead, who again has had a decent start to this one. I'll do my best to get you some timings and things in a minute. In the meantime, can we see? Let's see if we can go back and see the contact that happened at the start of this race. So Chris Rock looks like he's involved. Let's see if we can get a replay. Let's see what's happening. This is going to Maggots and Beckett's. Is he just going to go a little bit too deep? Oh yeah, a little bit too deep there. Let's see if we can go back and see a little bit more of that. But that was all a little bit messy, it looked like. Let's get it the perspective from the point of view of Dino Hukanovic. Let's see if we can get the helicam. What happens here is they're going into the corner. In fact, no, he's just been a little bit out of the way. Oh, dearie me. Not the best you'll ever see. And let's try another one. I think Redfern looked like he was involved there, didn't he? So let's just have one final look at that and see what we can see from the helicam. Actually, looks like it might be a little bit further ahead of them That looks like Balozzo just goes into the side of Dorazio there. Redfern gets picked up in the instance as well. Looks like Dorazio's back out and underway, so he's back out on track, which is good to see. And there you can see Matt Redfern just dropping into the pits, potentially getting his pit stop done nice and early. Let's jump up to the battle for P10. Rob Jackson turning the screw on Mark Randall. You can see, look at the different lines they're taking through here. We'll see if that's going to give Rob a really good run out of Chapel and onto the hangar straight. He is closing. Whether he closes enough or not, that remains to be seen. Is he going to go for the late dive? He's looking up the inside. Is he going to make the move? Looks like he's just about alongside. Oh, I thought that was going to be closer than it was. That was very spicy indeed. It looks like he's got the move done, but Mark's going to have the inside line as they go down in towards Club Corner. Is Mark going to make the move? Oh, goodness me. That looked like one of those where I wasn't entirely sure that Mark was going to get that stopped. Luckily, he has. So we've not got any issues on that side of things, but good move there done by the number 99 M2 competition car. Just did the great thing of just getting a really good run out of Maggotts and Beckett's and just got the run on the hangar straight. Mark left them a bit of room on the inside. Very fair racing between them, and it gets him gets him up into the top 10 in this one. Back up to the top, and Brown starting to create a little bit of a gap at the moment. He was half a second quicker than anyone else on that last lap of the 2:09.9. So it looks like it might be a little bit better conditions than we had in qualifying a short while before. But yeah, tune of 1.2 seconds is the gap back to Miles Dixon at the moment. Andrew Wellborn and Ash Coupland keeping each other honest in behind there as well. Marcus Hagel is starting to fall back a little bit more, 2.3 seconds behind this lead group at the moment. Carl Wright a little bit, about half a second, or just nearer to a second behind him. And then it's Ben Brown starting to form a bit of a trade behind him. In fact, no way, a little bit. A bit of a trade, Sam Waldridge and Mark Cooper, or both within a second of each other behind him as well. So lots to keep an eye on in this race. We have had a couple of people already serve their mandatory pit stops. The earliest of which, or the highest up, I should say, of which is Carlo Dorazio of the EOS Esport Racing car. He was, of course, the man who got caught up in that incident at the start, so we'll see how he gets on throughout the rest of the race. It didn't look like he was going particularly quickly through there then. He has come out ahead of Matt Redfern in the Big Brain Racing Audi, so he was another one who was caught up in that incident, so we'll see how that plays out shortly. See Peter Phillips just going across the start-finish line. He's up into what's that, P25. Of course, he had that drive through at the start of the race. Here we go though. Andrew Wellborn getting a very, very good run on Miles Dixon. He's 0.2 of a second back. I mean, he's not that. You can barely even separate them as it stands as they go in towards Abbey and into Farm. Is Andrew going to have the run, and is he going to try and make a move going into Village? He's not on this occasion. That was a little bit late on the brakes there, it felt like, and luckily nothing happened that was too untoward. Of course, what this is going to give is Ash Coupland the impetus to maybe think he can get onto the back of these guys and make a move himself, because what that's done, Andrew's little mistake there, is pushed him away from Mars and pushed him back into the clutches of the number 5 monochrome positive perception car, what I'm going to call it. But there you go, straight away you can see how good this Aston is around the Silverstone circuit. Andrew's already back within a couple of attempts again, so he's got all the moves, he's got all the time that he needs to work with. He just needs to play it nice and safe, and it looks like he's probably got the pace to get the move on the number 94 car. He's got a really, really good run. Is he going to look to the inside up into Cops? He is. Is he alongside? It looks like he might be. Oh, just backs out of it at the last second. Mars just shuts the door and says, thank you very much, not for you today. But there's a big, massive little lit slip there from Miles Dixon as he comes out of Cops on the exit, puts himself back under an immense amount of pressure once more. So anytime anything happens, anytime Dixon gets away, he just ends up disappearing again. What happened to Ash Coupland there? Did he go off? No, he didn't. Apologies, it's just the way things are looking. Miles Dixon goes off as well, so it looks like that's going to be the move very much completed Wellborn before they even get to the braking point off the hangar straight into Stowe. So there you go, that is your move done. and that is Andrew Wellborn up into second place, and you'd hardly say he doesn't deserve it, to be quite honest with you. Just trying to see, do you think I just saw her coming together with Mark Raddenbury and someone, number 26 guy Tim Coster, I think, so we'll just jump back and see if there was any coming together with these two as they come into Cops. See what happens here. Oh, Mark gets very, very sideways there. There's no contact, but wowee, that was a big snap from the 750 car. That's not what he wants. That's put him back down into P16 in between Hukanovic and Buchanan at this moment in time. So he is going to need a bit of a decent run to try to get any kind of points back at this moment in time. But of course, 50 minutes left in this race. Still a pit stop need to be made for everyone barring the bottom two drivers of Durazio and Redfern. So look, what I'm trying to say is still loads to play for throughout the rest of this race, and I would hedge my bets and put my significant mortgage on the fact that whoever is in the position they are at the moment probably won't be by the time they get to the end of this one. Here he goes. Look, Mark getting a really good run, look really close up to the back of Hukanovic in the Profi Racing car, number 33 McLaren 720S. You can see that Mark's got the pace, just needs to try and keep it nice and clean. Can he get any sort of run out onto the Wellington straight? It looks like he's quick enough. I think it's probably a case of when rather than if, but he just needs to try and keep himself maybe a little bit more composed. Oh, it's Hukanovic, big dive in there. Has he gone with? He has indeed. I mean, I'm not surprised that happened. Can we see what happened there? That looked like it was just a day late and $1 short from Hukanovic. He has done what appears to be the sportsmanlike thing and just waited for Derek to come out, but just goes a bit too deep there. It's not what you want to see, but it's good to see that he has allowed Steve Derrick a chance to get back in front of him, which is always good sportsmanship, and it's what we encourage at Positive Perception, which is good to see. But what that does do is that promotes Mark Raddenbury back up into 14th place. Mark Cooper has made a mistake by the looks of it. We've got a yellow flag for him. We'll see if we can catch up with what that was in just a minute. In the meantime, though, Marcus Hagel not making the gains I was expecting that he might, given the pace that he had in the first round at Imola a couple of weeks ago. Of course, joint championship leader, in fact, will 100%, unless he fails to finish his race, be championship leader, you would argue, based on his position at the moment after this one, due to the fact that Marcel, of course, not racing this evening. So that should put him a bit clear at the top of the table. However, the man behind him on track, Carl Wright, will probably have something to say about that, and is in the wheel tracks of the number 117 Pulse Simsport Audi. Of course, Pulse Simsport, give them their shout out. And they've recently been fortunate enough to get an entry into the VCO World Cup, which is great to see. I think that's based on based on how quick they are. They're all very, very quick. I think there's not much more you can say about it, to be quite fair. So yeah, good to see those guys getting the chance to represent on a bigger stage as well. At the moment, it's not necessarily going to the way of the number 117 car. He's not really lighting up the timing charts either. His fastest lap is over a second slower than the guys ahead of him, and he's running in the 2:12s at the moment. So he's hardly doing anything too incredible on the track at the moment. But yeah, long way to go. Still plenty of time for him to get his eye in. Could just simply be a case of he's just not quite got the car set up properly for this amount of rain. And if we continue to see it drop, then who knows? We might see some change at the moment. If it was me, I would be holding off on that tyre stop for as long as I possibly can. Simply because it might stop raining. If it gets dry, the last thing you want is to be on with us, obviously on wet tyres. So it might be a case of a lot of these guys just longing it as far as they can into the race and seeing kind of how things shake out as well. But at the moment, Hagel is just managing to hold off Kyle Wright. He's not really giving Kyle much of an opportunity to get any moves done. In fact, if we go back to the point of Kyle, it looks like, yeah, that is Ben Brown really very much trying to get the move done on him. Can we see whether he goes around the outside into Stowe? This will be a ballsy move. If he makes it stick, he's got the run. Has he got the grip? He's going to put his foot down as early as he dare. He's alongside still. This is super duper close stuff as they go into Club, sorry. And just about, oh, lovely move that from Ben Brown. We are submitting overtakes this season, and I would hedge your bets that that's a pretty good one to put in there early doors at round 2. That was a fantastic move from the number 22 Onin Racing Machine. I'm sure Ben will be quite pleased with himself for doing that one, because I mean I would be as well. To be quite frank, it was a really good move around the outside at Stowe. Manages to get himself the inside, going into Vale and up into 6th place. So good race so far from Ben as it stands. It does mean that Carl and Sam Waldridge are very, very close behind him still. It has given Marcus Hagel just a little bit of breathing room ahead of him now. He's got about a second and a half, about more than a second and a half back to those guys ahead. So up those guys behind rather. So a little bit of breathing room, just a chance for him to relax a little bit, hopefully hit some better apexes, get some lap times in, and we'll see how it goes. In fact, he did actually do his fastest lap of his race on the last time round, a 2:10.8. Remember, you can see all of this if you jump onto Pitwall Live, the timing chart. You see it pinned in the YouTube chat. So if you do want to see what's going on with that one, then feel free to jump in, have a look. And again, Hagel going quicker once more. Man who's going very, very quickly though is this man now. Ant Brown is in a world of his own in terms of this. We have actually, what's happened there? We've lost Miles Dixon. I've just seen him disappear off. I saw the 94 off at Cops. I wonder what's happened there. I don't know if we can see anything that might have caused that. There's nothing on the replay list that I can suggest might have happened, so I can't tell you where he's gone. But that is a big shame. The number 94 car, it promotes everyone from third up, or from fourth up a position rather. So that puts Ash Coupland up into 3rd place, Marcus Hagel, Ben Brown, Carl Wright, and everyone else promoted up a position. So a big shame to see the Pole Simsport car disappear. Well, that's very, very wide from Matt Brown coming out onto the Hamilton straight out of club there. Again, we've said it. Those of you who've driven around Silverstone yourselves, you'll know this as well. Track limits can be very, very fiddly and very aggressive around the Silverstone circuit. So it's something that these guys are going to have to be careful of going into the latter parts of this race, because the last thing you want is a drive-through penalty at any point. It doesn't matter when, but the last thing you want is one of those. See, Peter Phillips had one already for, presumably, I don't know why he had one. Speeding in the pit lane is a guess, because he obviously started from the pits, but impossible to say exactly what might have happened. Carl Wright gets a really good exit there. It looks like out of the loop and into Aintree. He's right on the back end of Ben Brown. You see, look at the spray that the 22 Lexus is spurting up at him at the moment. He's just going into Brooklands. It looks like Carl's got the best on the brakes. The Audi, super good under braking. They go into Luffield, slightly different lines again. Carl just looking to get a tighter apex on the exit and get himself on the power as soon as possible. It's not quite done too much yet, to be honest. Hasn't given him much of a chance to get that much closer. And as a result, Ben Brown will last another lap or another few corners at least from losing that 5th place that he'd inherited. Obviously courtesy of Miles Dixon, unfortunately dropping out of this race. Find out what happened if we can and let you know. Looks like we've had another pit stop coming in. So yeah, Dino Kanovic has now put a pit stop in. Of course, we saw Steve Derrick had as well. So Carlo Durazio in a good place, you'd say, at the moment. It would be at least sort of P15, P16, you would suggest. Again, I'm probably just basing that on where the other guys were when they pitted as well, and that's a guess at the best of times. So I think it would be. Again, we'll figure this how this shakes out as we go later on into the race. But Carl Wright still trying to put the move on the number 22 car of Ben Brown. This is the closest battle we've got on track as it stands. We've got a couple of other close guys a little bit further down the field, but this is the spicy one. I can see Ollie Geel had a yellow flag against him. Can we see if anything's happened there? Nothing doing on the sheet as of now. But again, keep an eye on it. So if he comes up, might have just been a little mistake that he's made. So he's dropped himself back down into P14. Mark Raddenbury up into P12. Mark Cooper P11. And James Jackson still your man in P10. So rounding out that. In fact, he is now your man in P10. It was Rob Jackson who was in P10 a little while ago in this race. Too many Jacksons. I promise you again, not related. Nothing to do with each other so far as I know. Here you go though. Ben Brown under pressure once more. Carl Wright looks like he's got a good run this time. Is he going to make the move going up into Brooklands? He's not again. on this occasion. They are closing, it looks like, not by a huge amount, but closing up a little bit to Marcus Hagel once more. So still managing to get a little bit of time back on the Pulse Sim Sport car. But again, still no move from Kyle. Of course, lost the position to a brilliant move from Brown a couple of laps ago, but Kyle's just not maybe seeming too comfortable in the seat of that Audi at the moment. So yeah, long way to go, but Kyle will, I'm sure he'll be wanting to get past Ben and trying to get the move done on Hagel as well, because I'm sure he thinks he'll be quick enough to do something like that at some point. Further down the field though, let's have a look at Chris Rock and Mark Roddenberry. Half a second between these two. It's the server owner. So Chris Rock, for those of you who don't know, is the owner and operator of KCMIT Services, who host our servers. You'll probably have seen their logo appearing in the bottom left-hand corner. And it's worth mentioning the other guys as well. Of course, Gridfinder, big friend of ours over at Positive Perception. We love Tom and the team over at Gridfinder. Pitwall Live, of course, Chris and the team over there. Fantastic work they do in terms of getting all of that live timing that you guys can see. And of course, Dunn Motorsport. Eric's in the chat. We know he's here. Colin, of course, Dunn Motorsport driver. He won his championship in the Welsh Saloon Sports Car Championship. I think that's what it's called. It's a mouthful, whatever it is. He won that this year. So yeah, big shout out to those guys. And for those of you who are watching as well, to see the numbers again, they're brilliant this week, which is exactly what we want to see. Just a reminder, if you haven't done already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done, if you've probably got a Google account, if you're not logged in, just log in. It takes 2 seconds. Go and do that. Jump in and yeah, like the stream and subscribe and tell all your friends. That's what I want to see. Let's just jump back up to the battle for P5, because it looks like Carl Wright's made the move. One thing I did just spot, again, it might tell me now, actually. Yeah, it looks like we might. Let's have a look at here, because it was a yellow flag for Ben Brown. I just want to see what happened here. Do we need to go over to Ben's point of view? In fact, yeah, we do. I want to go back and see that again, because that was Ben making a mistake. It looked like, yeah, he was off the track before Kyle was even involved by the looks of it. I can't say for certain, but it looked like Ben made that mistake all on his own. So he's back down into P6. Kyle back up into P5, and Rob Jackson is very much on the back of these guys. Let's go back, though, to what we were seeing a minute ago. Interestingly, not what we were seeing a minute ago, because Mark Roddenberry's got himself up into P11. Mark, in fact, have we had a pit stop again? I'm just trying to figure this out now, because I'm very confused. Steve Derrick's gone back into the pits by the looks of it. I think. I'm not going to try and guess. It's not worth it. All I know, Mark Roddenberry 11th, Chris Rock P12, James Jackson and Ollie G will P13 and 14. And that's the battle I want to focus on for a few minutes now, because you can see they are pretty close on track. You've got that lovely little rainbow effect I've just noticed on the grille of Chris Rock's number 12 Lexus, which is really nice. Hadn't seen that before. Sam Wooldridge, I believe, is the one who designs liveries for the SWMD drivers, and they do look rather beautiful, got to say. Even if sometimes they don't always line up when you take a closer look. Sorry, Sam, had to say it. Yeah, Chris Rock sitting in P12. That's Mark Roddenberry, as you see, just at the forefront of your picture. But again, typically, this is what happens normally. I found this tends to be the case. I go and click on a battle that I'm interested in, and invariably, they will end up dispersing a little bit. So probably what's going to happen now is that Sam Wooldridge is going to make a mistake. Rob Jackson will also make a mistake, and Ben Brown will have a bit of time back. If not, we might see some interesting battles on track. Let's have a look. Oh, as you see there, just going into Village there, Ben Brown goes very, very deep. Luckily, he's got the chance to keep that move on the back of the... Oh, dearie me, Sam Wooldridge, that was very, very close. Looked like he had to back out of it and get off the gas coming out of the loop and onto Aintree, because he was so close to hitting the back of the 22 owner racing car. Rob Jackson's thinking, I'll have a slice of this pie. I'll get myself involved. Oh, very close again into Brooklands. This is close stuff. Ben Brown, he's a bit all over the shop at the moment. I've got to say, not sure what's happening with him. As you see, Chris Rock, yellow flag for him going through final. Again, we'll try and come back to that in a second if we've got something we can refer to in terms of some sort of contact. Of course, the system that we're using does pick up on these sorts of things, assuming there has been, and he's not just made a mistake himself. But there you go. That puts him down into P15. So Jackson, Geel and Buchanan all off position each. But we're going to stick with this one for now. Look at that. Rob Jackson just giving him the eyes to Sam. Just saying, look, I'm here. Don't forget about me. Don't focus on what's ahead of you. Just remember that I'm quite close as well. So this is a difficult position for Sam to be in, of course. Always difficult being the man, having someone in front of you. You want to make the move on them, but you also obviously want to hold off the guy behind you as well. So it's never an easy position to be in. And arguably, you'd say that Rob Jackson's a little bit closer to Sam than Sam is to Ben. So he might be having to look in his mirrors more than at the front windscreen for the time being. But there you go, 25 minutes into the race, 35 still to run. Still wet, if you hadn't realised. Ant Brown leads the way as it stands, with Andrew Wellborn just under 4 seconds back from him. It's all started to dissipate a little bit at the top of the grid. Ash Coupland currently sitting in P3, last of the podium sitters. Marcus Hagel in P4, slightly being closed down by the number 24 car, of Kyle Wright in the SAR car. Ben Brown in the only racing car is in your foreground there. Sam Wooldridge, your main picture. Rob Jackson behind him in P8. And then it's a sizable gap of around 10 seconds back to Tim Costa and Mark Cooper, who round out your current top 10. Now, what I want to do is I want to go back and I want to see if something happened to Chris Rock. So let's jump on board with him. Let's go to the replay and let's see what happened here. That is James Jackson there. It's a little bit of a nudge. There is contact, but nothing that would have made Chris lose a place, which is interesting. We've got some other contact as well between Redfern and Hukanovic. They have switched according to my timing chart. So let's just see what happens here. Oh, it's Hukanovic again. Oh, Dino, man, come on. Room for improvement there, my guy. We know we need to be doing a little bit better there, I think. I'm sure he'll be the first one to admit it. A little bit silly from the 33 Profi Racing car. Second time, unfortunately, because you get a little bit deep under brakes. Of course, it is wet. And Collins here, C Dunn 13 with a little wave. Good evening, Mr. Dunn. Hope you're well. I'm a little bit disappointed that Eric made it into the chat before you did, but I'll let you off on this occasion. So yeah, coming up towards the halfway point. In fact, Ant Brown just eking out a bit more of a lead at the moment. His best lap of 2:08.9. So really doing a good job, just continuing to put some really solid lap times in. He was 0.8 quicker than Wellborn on the last tour of the Silverstone circuit. Done 12 in total so far. So yeah, he's looking pretty as it stands. This is starting to become a bit of a train at the moment. There's enough of a gap between them, largely speaking, but Hagel 1 second back to Carl Wright, who's just under 2 seconds ahead of Brown. Just under a second behind him is Wooldridge, and then just over a second behind him is Rob Jackson. So it's all spicing up a little bit. This is one of those times where you might consider getting a pit stop out of the way if you think you're being held up. If I'm Sam Wooldridge in this position, that is something I would seriously be contemplating, because it looks like this wet weather isn't going to be going anywhere. It's not very windy. It is very wet. I don't think it'll be drying up too much. So I think it's largely at the point where I think if it was me, I'd be considering a pit stop, get myself some clear air. There's a nice couple of gaps around the track. You'd probably think they'll come out around sort of where the guys are around the Hamilton Straight, maybe sort of that area, I would think. So yeah, chance to get a bit of clear air and really start to get things going. There is our first drive-through of the evening, what you can only assume is for track limits. Ian Chaujon getting a drive-through in the 169 Lamborghini. Unfortunate for him, I'm sure that won't be the last, as he's probably just gone a little bit wide there. Can we go back and see the last one that may have caused it? So where are we here? We're just coming through Club, aren't we? So is he going to go a bit wide here, you'd think? Seems likely. There you go. That's very wide. That's very much going to be your drive-through. Your final warning, I would suggest. I've probably put too much time on this replay because I've now got to watch this next 10 seconds of him driving around, but that's fine. Either way, I'm sure he won't be too pleased with himself in the Jean GP car. Very appropriate name. And there you go. Since we're talking about drive-throughs, that is a very, very odd line from Jamie Buchanan. Second in AM class as it stands, with Chris Rock, who's fourth in the silver class, by my understanding, in 15th, just behind him. Nick Karagiannis is into the pit lane. So he's the fifth driver now. Fifth driver now, sorry, to serve his mandatory pit stop. So we'll see where he comes out. I'd expect Durazio will come out in front of him. Durazio has really just been putting in some solid lap times. He's running a lot quicker than everyone else around him. He's running solid kind of early to mid 2-minute 10s. He's on pace with the guys up towards the front. So I'm expecting a decent result here for the EOS 250 car, because he's putting in some good lap times. He's done exactly what, didn't mean to. I think he got caught up in an incident, didn't he? So he's not purposefully pitted early, but it might turn out to be something rather useful for him as we go towards the final knockings of this race. Halfway, or just over halfway through this one now. As it stands, Ant Brown is still leading the way. He's got a gap of 5 seconds back to Andy Wellborn, who was a little bit slower than Brown on the last lap. He's then got a few seconds, in fact it's a 9-second gap now, back to Ash Coupland. Marcus Hagel was fourth, he's now pit. And that's put Ben Brown. Oh, and Carl Wright is pit as well, my apologies. I was about to say, has Carl lost the position to Ben again? He hasn't. It's because they've both pit. So we'll see where those guys come out. This is where we'll see how well it's worked out for Carlo down in P22. I would hazard a guess he probably won't get too much on these two, but he could have an outside chance of a top 10. We'll have to wait and see as we see more people come into the pit lane. Let's go back up to the battle for P4. Got a couple of back markers getting involved now, it looks like, as well. So that is Peter Phillips, I think, in the midst, if I'm not mistaken. It's not, my apologies. Now I'm seeing the Owned Racing car. I saw purple and I assumed it was the Wild Things car. Apologies for making that awful mistake on that occasion. Rob Jackson, though, is running a good race, to be fair to him. He's running quick, he's running good lap times, he's running consistently, which is important. One of the very few drivers currently sitting in the 209s. Oh my word, that is Ben Brown off to the side of the track. What has happened there? Let's see if we can find out what happened to him. Did he get a bit of contact with someone, or was it entirely his doing? He's gone up the inside. Oh, it's a move that probably didn't need to be done, and that overcorrection has really kind of really hampered that in the end for him. Really big shame for the number 22 car. Look, I have to be impartial. It looked like a racing incident to me. It was a back marker. Could you argue that the back marker maybe could have gotten out of the way earlier? Of course you could, but could he have waited a little bit longer? Of course he could. It's a tough one to work with, but we'll let the stewards figure that out. That's not my job. Colin, one for you there, mate. Our head steward and running things from a naughty step perspective for this season. So just looking at Durazio, he's not. Oh no, but he's got past Alex McGee. But the thing is, I don't know where Alex McGee was when he came into the pits. He's not come out anywhere near the likes of Wright and Hagel. In fact, he's about 20 seconds, about 25 seconds behind them. So not too bad. Paint Sparky is not a fan of the pink Merc. I don't think it was a pink Merc at the last round either. I'm pretty sure he's changed it. I personally think it's quite nice, to be fair. I do think the white on the SAR car with that looks better, but I think the pink's quite fun as well. He has got a special livery for the finale as well, which I can guarantee you is going to look really good. So I've seen it in the flesh. I haven't seen it in the flesh, but I've seen it, and I know it's going to look pretty tasty. Here we go. We've got a little move here. Let's go back and watch this, because this is Carlo Durazio making the move on Peter Phillips. So let's just see what happens here. Looks like he just gets a really good run. That's through farm and in towards village. Really good run from the BMW there. I don't know whether it doesn't look like Peter made any mistakes. It just looks like a really good run out of the corner from Durazio, and he's managed to make the move. So that's the first guy he's gotten past who hasn't yet pitted. So he's starting to make a few moves now. Sir Jean in the pit lane for his drive-through. There's a drive-through for Karagiannis as well. So it's another one. I told you he was going to start totting up, didn't I? And we're just over halfway through. Balozzo and Buchanan in the pit lane as well. So you would assume that Durazio is going to take both of those guys. Jean, just about, I think he'll get past. Of course, he was serving the drive-through, so he's still got that number 1 next to his name, so isn't really going to cause Carlo too much of an issue. Let's jump back to our server host extraordinaire, Chris Rock. He's got Mark Neutelings for company as our leader. Ant Brown jumps into the pit lane, so he is pit from the lead. That means that Andrew Wellborn will inherit the lead of this race. He's currently the fastest man on track as well, so might be a chance for Andrew to really kind of turn the wick up and get some time back on the race leader. So we've got a few messages in the chat. Shaky fist from Mr. Dunn. Yep, head steward not particularly happy. Chris Rock go deep there, and that allows the positive perception Bentley of Mark Notlings to make the move. We'll come back to that in a second. A pink, yeah, still pink man. Yeah, Sam is very special. He is, bless him. We love Sam. He's a good boy, really. And then Steve Aldridge is saying that the pink on Sam's was his suggestion. It needs to be a hotter pink, in your opinion. Oh, interesting. Interesting indeed. I'm going to disagree. Only because I think, because it's in that kind of matte colour, I think it gives off a nice kind of like baby pink vibe. But I do have 2 daughters, so maybe I'm biased in that respect. Lots of pit stops coming in. It looks like most of these guys have probably seen the fact that it's going to rain more at the back end of this race and have just thought, let's just go and pit. Why not? Get it out of the way, split it half and half and see where we end up. So Ollie Gill, James Jackson, Mark Cooper, Ben Brown and Rob Jackson all in the pits. I want to go back to, where's Ben Brown gone? Where's he coming out? So that's Rob Jackson, James Jackson behind him. It's Mark Cooper, he's just gone past in the pits. So that's Ollie Gill. So he's come out in pretty much the same place he was before. That promotes Mark Raddenbury up into P5. Oh, it's a stop-go 30 for Ben Brown. That is heartbreak for the Onid Racing driver. That is such a shame to see that one. Evening, little bro. Oh, if that's Steve... Oh, Steve, I'm going to apologise to you right now. If that's who mate is referring to, I did not think you were brothers. I thought you were father and son. I'll be completely honest with you. But there you go. You live and you learn. I can't see you, so it's a complete guess. But yeah, that's such a shame for Ben. Really, really big shame. Of course, having a good run. Got caught up in a little bit of incidents at the start in the first round at Imola. Big shame, presumably speeding the pit lane. It's one of them. I feel like you know almost immediately that it's going to be a penalty, don't you? But you've just got to deal with it. And that's his chance of any kind of real decent points over and done with. Mark Raddenbury, I think they're just playing the long game and just letting Ant Brown through there, which is probably a sensible thing to do. Letting the current net race leader through. In the meantime, though, Ant Brown still going. Where's Mark Raddenbury off to there? He's missed his braking point, it looks like. I've just seen Chris Rock off as well. What's happened here? Ooh, he's doing donuts in the middle of the track. Probably not the smartest thing to be doing there, Chris, but each to their own. And that's Marcus Hagel coming through. Of course, he's done his pit stop, so doesn't really make any major changes in terms of the grand scheme of things. Tim Costa pits from 4th place. Andrew Wellborn and Ash Coupland and Sam Waldridge are your top men at the moment who are yet to pit. So still time, or still continuing to lap round for those guys. In the meantime, though, let's drop back over to this battle. So it's the battle for P16. I got James Jackson in the Jackson Racing Mercedes AMG, just ahead of him there. Got Jamie Buchanan, who's your main man on picture in the Pertec BTCC liveried BMW. And then you've got Ollie Gill in the Raddenbury themed, the Raddenbury themed number 18 Honda. They're quite close on track at the moment. Mate, Sparky is right, okay. So I'm getting a. It seems like from the YouTube chat, I'm getting a family history of the Waldridge clan, which is good. So so Sam is also a Badger boy, right? Okay. So well, obviously, if we go all the way back to Come on the Badger from Sparky earlier, that is clearly him wanting Sam to do well. Well, probably wants Sam to do well as well, but primarily for Sam it seems. Well, lovely to have you both. Steve, welcome back again. Sparky, nice to have you for the first occasion. Hopefully you're enjoying things so far. I mean, you should be, because we'll do. Let's put your lad on the stream. There we go. Andrew Wellborn into the pits, as is Ash Coupland. Is Sam going to come in as well? No, he's going to carry on. So you're going to see your boy in the lead. It's pronounced Ragan Blueberry. So Ragan Blueberry is currently sat in P5. Ragan Blagenberry. Just select a name and go for it. Whatever you want. But there you go. Here is your leader. Sam Aldridge, P1, as it stands. There's Ben Brown coming out. He's right behind Nadir Balozzo. I think that will be a position fight now for those two. So this is not ideal for Sam. Of course, he was fighting with Ben before. He was also fighting with Rob Jackson. So he really wants to get past these guys as quick as he can. And it looks to me, yeah, very smart decision from Ben just to nip out of the way. What Nadir's going to have to do is be a little bit careful because he probably doesn't want to make this too easy for Sam, because otherwise he's going to be right on. He's going to have Ben right on the back of him again as well. In the Zielinski Racing Ferrari, one of two Ferraris, I believe, in the driver lineup for this season. Colin Dunn being the other one, of course. Sure, he knows that. There you go, Sam nipping at the inside. Ben's going to try it as well. There you go. I told you he's going to think about it. And interesting from Nadir. I don't know whether he planned that. Maybe he got thrown by an extra blue flag. I'm not entirely sure, but interesting move from the number 25 Ferrari. Probably not what he was intending to do, I wouldn't have thought. As we see the aforementioned Ragan Blagenberry jump into the pits. So as it stands, Sam Waldridge still your top man who hasn't pit. Ragan Blagenberry is in the pits. He's going to hate me for saying that so many times when he watches this back later on or tomorrow. Mark Neutling's in P5 now. He's yet to pit. We know that Mark is good on tyres and good at elongating stints. He's a very, very, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. He's an economical driver. Probably the best way to put it. There you go. Sam just getting the move up the inside of Steve Derrick, one of the back markers. Let's just take a minute to appreciate the livery of Derrick. That's a really, really nice combination, and it's an Aston Martin Red Bull kind of combo. But what he's done with the back end of that, where he's used the Red Bull image to kind of filter into the back of the car, is really, really nice and lovely to see. And there you go, Ben Brown gets the move done on the aforementioned RS Racing car. I'm not sure it's RS Racing, but maybe we'll find out at some point. So Ben Brown continuing to make moves back up the field after that stop-go penalty. It's not what he would have wanted, of course, but these things happen, unfortunately. Jamie Buchanan still sitting behind James Jackson, who's having what seems to be some connection issues. Let's just ignore that even happened. We've got the car 38 off that. That's Alex McGee. That's a weird place to stop. Wonder what's happened here. Oh, bit of opposite lot there. He's done a really, really good job to keep that out of the way of everyone. Really impressive. And I believe he has since disappeared and decided to retire from the race, unfortunately. It's one of them. It's a tough one. These races, I'm sure, can be quite stressful, quite difficult, especially when things aren't going your way. But it's not something we would typically advocate. So hopefully we'll see Alex back in the new year for race number 3. Round number 3. I should say. So Kyle still working, or still working. We're very close to Rob Jackson at the moment. Mark Roddenberry is the other closest man on track to a man around him. In fact, we've still got the battle between the other Jackson, Buchanan, and Gilles as well. So it looks like Jackson is still going, despite his strange ongoings with the car a minute ago. Got to say, I always have a soft spot for the Jackson Racing liveries. They are, I'd say they're minimal, but I do think they always look really nice. The white, the orange, and the black always works when he puts those ones on. I'm sure he did like a black and a silver one before, which looked beautiful. Yeah, good job. The race only has 17 minutes left, 30 minutes to increase in rain. I know. I think that came up with about 28 minutes left. So in theory, you would see that move shortly. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it's going to make any impact, unfortunately. I would have liked to have seen how the guys got on with that one for sure. But yeah, Jackson's still holding his own, still holding on to P15. That is, in theory, it is definitely a net and win, come to think of it, because Sergent still has to pit So he's not going to be winning the AM class because he's going to drop right back down. So James Jackson, although Ollie Giles just made the move on Buchanan, I don't know how I've missed that. Let's see if we can find it. In fact, it's already happened. Can we go further back? We can't. That's annoying. I don't know when that happened, but that's a change for P16. So Jackson still in P1 in AM class, or will be P1 in AM class shortly. James Buchanan is second in AM class. He will have not wanted that to happen because he'll want the chance to get the move done on Jackson to get himself that AM class win, but we shall see. In the meantime, let's go back to the battle for the lead, because as you can see, Andrew Wellborn's time, where he was absolutely gunning it, has done him a world of good. Now let me just scroll back through. Josh Copeland, my money is on Wellborn from a little while ago earlier on in the race, right at the start to be fair. That was a bold claim, I thought at the time, but perhaps a very shrewd one, because as you can see, Andrew Wellborn has made the most of that time that before he pitted. He's run the car longer, he's got fresher tyres, and as a result seems to have a bit of pace and a bit of time gain on Brown at the moment. He was 6/10 nearly, just under 6/10 quicker on the last lap. This looks like Wellborn's going to have a chance at some point to get the move done. As they go into Village, we're going to jump into the cockpit of the second place man, the Radiocraft Brewery number 23 machine, into Village, into the loop, sorry. Get the corners right at some point. I'm not used to this new track layout. In towards Aintree and on to the Wellington Straight. It looks like maybe Andrew didn't get the best exit in the world. So he's just going to drop back a little bit to the back of the number 45 Aston Martin. As you can see, Aston Martin's clearly been the order of the day. Top three as it stands. Although Brown goes deep there, is that going to give Wellborn a chance to get the move around through Luffield? It doesn't look like it. Brown stuck very neatly to the inside. And just about manages to hold on for another couple of corners, but it looks like, I've said this a few times, it looks like it's a case of when not if for Wellborn. He looks like he's got some pace on Brown in this second stint of the race, and for all intents and purposes could be on his way towards a maiden win of the season. So 13 minutes left to go. As Colin mentioned in the chat, I don't think we're going to see that heavier rain, so I think it's going to stay pretty much as it is. But one thing that doesn't look like it will stay as it is this battle for the lead. Andrew Wellborn is all over the rear exhaust pipe and the rear wing of the number 45 car of Brown. Let's jump over to the rear wing of the SMWD car. You see, he's not, again, it looks like Andrew's not really got the run when he needs it. Oh, that's a big move up into Stowe, goodness me. That looked like it was a day late and $1 short. Luckily, there's not been a coming together between the two of them. Let's stick to this angle for a little while longer and let's see if there's going to be any more moves. You can just see the accordion effect you get under braking with these cars. Wellborn just gets so much closer as they go into the braking zones. It looks like Brown's he's pretty good on the exit of corners. He seems to have that much pretty much squared away, and it looks like I'm just seeing down on the timing tower that Neuterlings and Chris Rock are both pitting. So that leaves just one car left to pit, and that is Sir Jean. It feels like a weird decision to still be out there on track and not pitting at this stage because it's a tyre change. You know the weather's not going to change enough to have to make any complete changes. So if it was me, I'd have probably split the race in half. But look, I'm not racing for this season. I'm in the commentary box. One thing I will use is there's a chance for a recruitment drive. If you do want to come and commentate with me, I've had 2 people not want to, and I'm starting to take it personally. I am nice, I promise. But if you do want to come in and commentate, if you want to jump in, do a couple of Thursdays, just jump in and see how we get on and have a bit of fun about it. You're more than welcome. Hop into the Discord, drop us a message, and we will do what we can to accommodate you. Or if you want to race, I can't get you a spot in this championship because this is full. We are oversubscribed on this one, which is amazing, to be quite frank. But we do have a BMW TCX series on every other Thursday, which has got some space, so you're welcome to jump in. You can race against me, because I'm racing in that one. So, there you go. A little bit of admin done. Admin check. Whilst you're there, like and subscribe. That would be absolutely bloody lovely, if you'd be so kind to go and do that for us. So as we continue on towards the back end of this race, it is still a case of Ab Brown leading the way from Wellborn. They are separated by absolutely nothing, is the way I would describe it. To be quite frank, there is so little between them, you can barely even separate them. And this is what we like at Positive Perception Racing. We love to see nice, close, fair racing as they go in towards club. Looks like Wellborn was going to try and make a move there, but elected to sit in behind the number 45 car once more. 10 minutes left. So what's that going to be? 5 laps. And they are within 0.3 of a second between each other. This is how you want a race to be finishing. And these guys get on well. They race with each other all the time. There will be no quarter given, but I think you know that there's going to be a lot of kind of good sportsmanship between them, and they will be enjoying this. Oh, Wellborn just goes a little bit deep, just misjudged the braking point of Ant Brown and the 45 Aston Martin there as they went in towards Village. And Andrew Wellborn, sorry, very sensible from him. You see a lot of people will just disappear, and they'll actually elect to just go in and just go to the inside and make the move that way. Luckily, he's not done it on that occasion. He's gone to the outside and fixed it as a result. I've just noticed from Colin Dunn, did Mark notice teleport to pits? I think he did. I can't see him on the server list now, so it looks like maybe he's had some technical difficulties. I hope that's the case. He's not just decided to kind of bin it off, but we'll see. I'll chat with him later. But yeah, just go back to that. Really glad to see that Wellborn didn't just elect to do what a lot of people do, just send it up the inside. Played it very carefully, went to the left, went outside, and as a result avoided what would have arguably definitely been an incident had he gone to the inside. So it's still, as you were, still P1 at Brown, still P2 Andrew Wellborn. If we look our way further down the list, we've got Ash Coupland still sitting in third. He's on for a podium, but he has got Marcus Hagel a little bit behind, and it looks like Ash might have made a mistake on the last lap because they're a little bit closer than they have been. Carl Wright in 5th with Rob Jackson and Sam Wooldridge in 6th and 7th, and then it's Tim Costa, Mark Cooper and Carlo Dorazio rounding out your top 10. Costa, Cooper and Dorazio are pretty close as well, so I think what we'll do is we'll go and have a quick look over and see what's shaking out on this side of things. We'll come back to your race leading battle in just a moment. In fact, let's just drop back to Mr. Cooper, because it looks like Dorazio is just right. He's really coming into his own, to be fair. Andrew Withers is back in the pits as well. Let's just see. It looks like he's had a technical issue as well, which is a bit disappointing. But there you go. So at the moment, the man who looks like he's going to be making the move is that of Carlo Dorazio in P11, in P10. He's had a really, really good showing, to be fair. He's got caught up in that incident at the top end of the race, pitted very early, but is now making the moves that he needs to get himself right up into the thick of things. And this will put him, in fact, this is the battle for the Silver Class win. So Tim Costa is your Silver Class leader, Mark Cooper is in P2 in class, and Carlo Dorazio in P3. So very close. And if Dorazio gets this move on Mark Cooper done, you'd argue he's potentially got the pace to go and get the Porsche ahead of him as well, with 7.5 minutes left to go in this one. Yeah, look at that. Look at the run from the BMW there. Just goes a little bit wide, but doesn't look like that's going to give him any major issues. See what's going on from the rear end of the JPS liveried Honda NSX. Sergeant's still not pitted. Again, I'm still really confused as to why. There's a move from the inside from Carlo Dorazio. Can he get the move done into Village? He can indeed. That is a lovely move from the Italian, the number 250 BMW. That is a fantastic move from him. Shoots it up the inside. It looked like Mark maybe just got caught unawares, and that is the number 250 car up into P9 from effectively last after the first couple of laps. Will Mark Cooper look at making a move into Brooklands? He looked, but doesn't go for it on this occasion. Now let's jump back up to the battle for the lead, because look at this. This is very close indeed. We've got Balozzo, one of the back markers, involved in there as well. And oh, look at that big bit of big sideways action there from Andrew Wellborn coming out of Stowe. This is ridiculous. Nice one from Tubes. Yeah, lovely move from Carlo Dorazio. Again, we've seen some brilliant moves in this one. Obviously, Ben Brown going around the outside of Kyle Wright into Stowe earlier on in the race, and then that move from Carlo was great as well. I wonder if we'll see a brilliant move for the lead of this race as we come into the final 6 minutes of this one. You'd call, what, 3-4 laps at a push, I think we've got left in this one. Wellborn shapes to the outside into Village. Ant Brown just sensibly covers the inside line. This is where it could get interesting. 2 different lines, very wide entry from Wellborn. Is he going to use that to his advantage? Is he going to get the better run out onto the Hurlington Straight? We'll see if he can make any kind of gains down the back straight now. So Jean pits from P12. So that puts him right the way back down. He's going to shoot himself down. That's going to promote James Jackson, up into the lead of the AM class. Drive through for Rob Jackson. I'm clearly got Jackson's on the brain because it's a drive through for the number 99 cars. That's going to shift him back. That's going to promote Sam Waldridge, Tim Costa, Dorazio, you'd expect up in upper position, and probably all the way down to Mark Cooper, I would expect, are going to gain a position off of that one. But in the meantime, let's keep you focused on the battle for the lead. This is getting very, very spicy indeed. 5 minutes left. So we've got, I reckon, 3 laps, including this one, to conclude this race. And we have got a hell of a finish on our hands, boys and girls. Do not go anywhere. If you're about to switch off, it's only 9:05. Stay on a little while longer and see how this concludes. We've got a back marker ahead of them. I think that was Hukanovic in the 33 Profi Racing McLaren. Yes, it is. As they go through Maggots and Beckett's for the 26th time, accounting. And on to the Hangar Straight. Hukanovic looks like he's just drifting across a little bit. We'll have to see what happens there. Are they going to get out of the way? I hope he will. It's a drive-through, a stop-go, for Sir Jean, just to really compound his misery in the race this evening. Drive-through, late pit stop, stop-go 30. It's not what you want at all. I think the wet weather is causing havoc with people's pit entries, is my best guess. As there you can see Rob Jackson pits to serve his drive-through and get out of the way. So presumably, like I said before, that's going to put him down onto the back end of the top 10. But in the meantime, Wellborn still trying to figure out where he can make the move on Ant Brown. Ant Brown goes wide out of club again. Keeps doing that. Unfortunately, I can't see how many track cuts they've got, so I don't know whether he's doing it. Oh, that was a little bit of a shake-up there, going through Abbey there from Brown. It looked like he just got a little bit squirrely, just a little bit of a double turn on the steering wheel, just having to seesaw it through, and that's given Wellborn, I was going to say it's given him a bit of a chance to get back. He's not. He's actually 7/10 back, so he's not going to make a move on this occasion. So he's just dropped a little bit further back. You can see there the gap forming. Yeah, 0.8 of a second now. Not sure what's happened to cause that. But 3 minutes left now. I'm counting. You can count down the minutes with me if you want, guys. Still going. And in the meantime, Carlos Dorazio has got the move done, and he's up into the winning position in the silver class. Let's go back and see this one. This looked like it might have been a move. It round the outside at Stowe. Goodness me, look at this. We've seen 2 of these on this time around. Great move from the 250 car. Tim Costa so close yet so far from getting that silver class win and getting some serious points on the board. But it looks like it's going to be going the way of the 250 BMW. We've got Rob Jackson, who's come out in P9, so that's going to stop Mark Cooper from getting that P9 in the end. It's going to keep Rob within the top 10 a fair bit. Jamie Buchanan, of course, yeah, Colin Dunn picking up on the fact that Jamie's up into, oh dearie me, what's happened here? I've been looking at the timing chart. What's happened here? Let's get a quick replay. As they go into Village, and as they go into Luke, what's going to happen here? Is this Tim Costa? He's going up the inside. Oh, that's a very innocuous little move there. Oh, it's another move. It's another little incident as well. What's happened there? Then Costa has disappeared up the road. In fact, no, he hasn't. I would be disappointed in Tim if he doesn't decide to give that position back, but we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, though, let's go to your AM class leader as it stands. Is Jamie Buchanan in the number 81 car. Disappointing from all angles, that little move there. What it does do is it promotes Mark Cooper up into the lead of the silver class. This is all coming up trumps these guys towards the back end of this. It looks like Ant Brown has got enough of a gap now, barring any mistakes, to get that win this evening and really set his title credentials out, because he's one of those guys who's going to have a side eye, I would have thought, on the title for this one. And a win here is really going to do him the world of good. He had a very instant field round at Imola, to be fair. I think quite a lot of people did, to be quite honest. I have just noticed that Tim Costa has been kind enough to let Dorazio back through. Again, I'm assuming he's let him back through, but that seems to be the case. We've got the number 12 car off of the way. That's Chris Rock for some reason. Don't know what's happened to him. but he's now dropped off and he's on the outside of Luffield by the looks of it, so hopefully nothing that's going to cause too many issues. We might see him there. No, can't see him at the moment. But with 43 seconds left, or 40 seconds left, this is going to be the last lap of the race. It's going to be a mammoth effort from Andrew Wellborn to get that position back. Let's have a quick look further down the field. Marcus Hagel's got Carl Wright for company. These two have been fairly close throughout this race, but doesn't look like Wright's going to make the move again unless he makes any kind of serious gains on the final lap. We've got Peter Phillips and Sir Jean a close up on there. Peter Phillips not had the race he would have wanted. He's been very much down towards the bottom half of the field, and he'll be wanting to come back in the new year after our Christmas break with a little bit more in the tank in terms of that. I know he's been on holiday recently, to be fair to him, so he's probably not had a huge amount of chance to practice. Tim Costa has caused the yellow flag. He's gone off there as well. And as we go a little bit further up the field, we've got Steve Derrick with Nadir Balozzo in behind him as well. So Balozzo, considering the instance he's been in, is looking like he's going to come out in P3. He's going to get an AM class podium as well, which is great to see. But let's go back up to your current race leader as the time hits 0. So this will be, as I said before, this will be the final lap of this race. Ant Brown is currently coming through, and he's got a 1.3 second gap to Wellborn. So it looks, for all intents and purposes, that Brown is going to take his first win of the season. Wellborn's going to come through in second. It looks like Ash Coupland's going to come out in P3 as well. But we'll keep an eye and make sure nothing untoward happens there as well. We can see that Marcus Hagel in P4. We've got Carl Wright in P5, but we'll do a quick roundup of them in just a second. In the meantime, just going to see this move here. Can Mark Raddenbury get a move done? I'm keeping a very keen eye on the Wellington straight to see how close Brown and that are to the end. Mark Raddenbury gets an easy move done in the end, to be fair. Just gets straight through on him. And there we go. There is Ant Brown just coming through Brooklands, coming through Luffield. Chris Rock, I wonder if he might start moving after this. I imagine he's probably just decided to call it a day. I wonder if he'll start moving now that he sees Ant Brown come past him at the end of the race. But here you go, coming through Woodcut for the final time. He does start moving. Ant Brown takes your victory for the second round of the Positive Perception GT Championship season number 6. Andrew Wellborn comes through in second place, and it's going to be a distant third, but a well-deserved podium for Ash Coupland in the Positive Perception at number 5 machine. Fantastic show from him. He'll be very pleased to get things back on track after this one. I will be sure to say. We've got just dropped back a little bit. This is Marcus Hagel. It says he's in P3. He's not. He is technically in P4. Carl Wright in P5. Very close behind him in the end, but not able to get that P4 by the end of the race. A good result for Hagel. That's going to strengthen his title championship ambitions no end, I am sure. As Sam Waldridge comes through in P6, Rob Jackson will come through in P7 as he slides through in P7, I should say. I think Chris ran out of fuel. You might be right, Colin. That's not the worst shout you've ever said, to be fair. Yeah, he's probably just waited because he did start moving afterwards. I did notice. Rob Jackson comes through in P8 in the end, P7 in the end, sorry. Mark Cooper will be your silver class winner. He comes through in P8 overall. Carlo Dorazio was robbed, you would argue, of a silver class victory after that coming together with Tim Costa. He finishes P9, and Mark Raddenbury will round out your top 10. On this occasion, Tim Costa will come through in P11, Ollie Geel in P12, and Jamie Buchanan will jump over to him. He will be, for all in, well, again, let's just make sure he gets through these last couple of corners because that's James Jackson, goodness me, in the background. He will be taking your AM class victory for this second round here at Silverstone in the Positive Perception GT Championship. It's a fantastic showing from everyone involved. We've had loads of action, a couple of incidents here and there as well, but all in all, that has been a fantastic, brilliant round of racing that we've been treated to this evening, I would say. Fantastic from everyone involved. We will just stick around for a few minutes just to see if anyone fancies dropping in for a quick chat. We've said a few guys last time round, but it was a win in the end for Anthony Brown. Let's just see, did anyone end up saying Ant Brown would win in the end? We got to come on the Badger from Sparky, didn't we? Which I think is, I'm thinking that's we know that Ant likes a badger. Let's just say that was what you guys wanted. It will work that way. Wellborn was very close, of course, not able to get that done in the end. Unfortunately, big shame that he wasn't able to take the win. But either way, a good podium for Mr. Wellborn. He's then got Ash Coupland, brilliant podium for him. Said last time out, had a really difficult round at Imola. To be pleased, I did speak to him and he wasn't particularly happy with how things went. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be pleased to get the podium as well. But fantastic racing all round. Sparky, thank you very much, buddy. Yeah, great race commentary. That's very kind of you. I think the race does the commentary most of the justice, to be quite fair. But I appreciate your kind words as well. And thank you to everyone who has jumped in and come in and watch the stream as well. We have got one person who fancies an interview by the looks of it. I'm just going to jump in and grab him now. Let's just move him over. Good evening, Kyle. Well done tonight, mate. What was it? I think it was P5 in the end. P4 was on the cards, but it just looked like maybe you didn't quite have the pace to get past Marcus in the end.
No, I had to fuel save at the end. Didn't have enough fuel for the end. As soon as the track went a bit quicker, I was using more fuel. No, it was really good fun. Good
stuff. I mean, how was it out in the weather? Of course, there was always that question of whether it would dry up, whether it would continue raining. Of course, it did the latter. But did that make things particularly difficult in the end, or was it because it looked fairly static? Was it quite an easy race in terms of strategy and things like that?
I mean, it got easier as the rain sort of lessened throughout the race. Didn't feel like much changed, but I saw my fuel ticking down as the track got quicker. But no, it was just the fuel that was the issue all race. I was battling it.
That's the thing when we add in these little extra things like no refueling for the race, it just adds that extra bit of a spice to things. And I did see there was one person parked in the exit of Luffield, and I'm assuming that the problem for him was that he ran out of fuel as well. So don't think you were the only one. It's not the end of the world. But look, P5, good for the championship, a good set of points on the board. Of course, there's been a couple of people. Of course, Miles, I'm sure you saw, didn't make it to the finish, unfortunately, and of course Marcel not around this week as well. So good to take some points off of them. Yep. Nice break now. What's the kind of thoughts heading into, I say the back half of the season, but you got a nice couple of weeks off. Brands after that one. What's your thoughts going into that one?
Hopefully some good on battle, good battle on track and whatnot. I think I don't know who I was fighting in the end, but we seem to be very close on pace. So I'm looking forward to the next few races battling them.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm all for more of that if we can get more races like that, because that was great fun. I think the rain really spiced things up and you guys put on a show. So thank you very kindly indeed. But look, well done on the result. I'm sure you probably, I know what you like, you probably would have wanted a bit more, but it's a good result nonetheless. Points on the board, and look forward to seeing you after the break for the triple header at Brands in the new year.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, guys. I think that'll bring us to the end of this evening. So thank you to everyone who has stopped by. If you haven't done already, I've said this a few times, I'll say it again. Make sure you like and subscribe. It's all much appreciated if you do. Spread the word, get the stream out there. As I said, we've got a break now in terms of the PPGT Championship, so we'll be back on, I think it's the 8th of January for the race at Brands Hatch, so triple header for that one, and then we'll be back into the fortnightly races from there on forth. So fantastic stuff from everyone involved. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to jump in and you want to get involved, then there's a Discord link in the description, so jump in. As I said, we've got plenty of social races between now and the new year as well, so get yourself involved. But thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you in a few weeks' time. Take care of yourselves. Have a lovely Christmas from everyone here at Positive Perception, and we'll see you in 2023. Bye-bye.